حي على الفلاح.
Abraha was the ruler of Yemen, but actually he was a Habashi. He was from what is known in modern times as Ethiopia. When he left with his army towards Mecca with the intention of destroying the Kaaba, he left his son Yaksum ibn Abraha in charge of Yemen. And when Yaksum died, his brother Masruq ibn Abraha, he took control of the kingdom. And at that time, there was a young man, his name was Saif ibn Yazin, and he was from the original royal family of Yemen. He was from the family of Rabi' ibn Nasr, who we spoke about before. And he was from the family of the Tubba', the original Yemenis who ruled Yemen. His ancestors were the kings of Yemen, the rulers of Yemen. And then these Ahbash, these Ethiopians, they came and occupied their land. And they occupy our land to this day. And I'm just thinking of a way to get my land back for my people. And of course, him seeing his country and his people occupied by these Ahbash, by these Ethiopians, he and his people, the Yemenis, they don't have any say in what goes on in their own country, and they have to watch these foreigners rule their land and make their laws and make their rules, and they have to be subservient to them. So Saif ibn Yazin, he was very, very upset with the situation, and he wished to find a way to get the control of Yemen back to the Yemenis, and preferably himself, because he was from the original royal family of Yemen. So he wanted to think of a way. How can we take the power back from these Ahbash, from these Ethiopians who have occupied our land? So he was able to gather some support from the Arabs, but not nearly enough to overthrow the government of Masruq ibn Abraha. There was no way that he could face the army of Masruq. And he knew that. He knew that, no, this is not even a battle that's worth fighting. I have some support with the Arabs, but there's no way that we can face Masruq and his army. So he thought, okay, who else can I ask for help? Who is more powerful than the army of the Ahbash? And if I can get them to help me, then we can take over this land once again. So he took a trip to Sham, the greater Syria area, where he met with the Qaisar. And he asked the Qaisar for help. He said, these Ahbash, they took over the land of my forefathers, and they occupied our land, and they're still ruling our land. I want to get what is rightfully mine. I want to get the land of Yemen back to control of the Yemenis. But the Qaisar, he didn't want to hear any of it. Because if you remember, the Qaisar was actually the one who sent a letter to the Najashi in Habasha to go over to Yemen and fight the Yemenis. This was actually from an order from the Qaisar himself. Because we talked about what happened in Yemen and how Dhu Nuwas, by digging trenches and throwing them into those trenches of fire. And when the Qaisar heard of this, and the Qaisar was a Christian, the Qaisar, he sent a letter to the Najashi of Habasha to send an army to Yemen to get revenge on Dhu Nuwas. And that's what they did. And that is how the Habashis took control of Yemen in the first place, by this order from the Qaisar to the Najashi. So now, when Saif ibn Yazin, he goes back to the Qaisar and asks for help to get his land back, then of course the Qaisar is not going to help him. And he didn't help him at all, and he didn't give him anything. So now Saif, he's upset, and he's thinking, what can I do? I need to do something to get the land of my forefathers back. So he thought at that time, look, the Qaisar, he didn't help me. The best bet I have is to seek help from someone who is from the Arabs. So he went to Iraq. The king there at that time, He was a man named Nu'man ibn al-Munzir. And he was originally Yemeni as well. Nu'man ibn al-Munzir, he understood the plight of Saif. And he said, I understand your situation and I'm not unwilling to help you. I would help you if I could help you. But that army of the Ahbash, it's a really strong and it's a really big army. And my army and my people, it's not strong enough to confront that army. I know my limit, I know my power, I know the power of my army, and there's no way that we would be able to defeat that army. But I have a suggestion for you. If you just stay with me for a little while, every year I take a trip to visit the Kisra. That's the leader of Persia, the leader of the Persian Empire. If you want to stay until that time with me, you can stay, and then we will go together to the Kisra and you can ask him for help. And the Kisra, he was the most powerful man in the world. And his army was the most powerful army in the world. That was the superpower of that time. So Saif ibn Dhi Yazin, he thinks that this is a good idea. So let me stay here in Iraq, and when Nu'man is going to visit the Kisra, I will go with him and I will explain my situation to the Kisra himself. So when that time came for Nu'man ibn al-Munzir to go and visit the Kisra, Saif ibn Dhi Yazin accompanied him. And they went to the palace of the Kisra. Now, like we said, the Kisra was the most powerful man in the world at that time. And his kingdom was the biggest and most powerful kingdom of that era. So he was very, very well respected and feared, even by other kings. Other kings didn't consider him to be their counterpart or their equal. Other kings considered him to be their king. And that's why he was also known with the title Shahanshai, which translates to Malikul Muluk, or the King of Kings. So even the other kings, they considered him their king. So they didn't consider him to be an equal counterpart, rather they respected him more. So they went to his palace. Now the way that he would present himself, they would come into his gathering and he would be behind a curtain. So the people are all here in the room, and they would not be sitting down, they would be standing. And the Kisra would be behind a curtain. And he would be on a throne. And that throne was surrounded with jewels. There were jewels all over that throne. And the Kisra, he had such a huge crown. And it is said that that crown weighed 90 kilograms. Now you're thinking, how can anyone put a 90 kilogram crown on their head without being crushed? The way that he used to do it is that this 90 kg crown, it would actually be suspended with gold ropes onto the ceiling of the palace, in such a position over his throne that he would position himself and sit there, and the throne would be right on his head without putting any pressure on his head. So the people, they would come and they would wait for that curtain to be opened. So when they came, Nu'man ibn al-Munzir came, and Saif ibn Dhi Yazin had accompanied him as well. So they were there standing with all of the other people to see the Kisra. And the curtain was opened. Everyone, all of those kings and whoever had come to visit the Kisra, they would go down in sujood to the Kisra. So when Saif ibn Dhi Yazin was here among this gathering, all of them made sujood to the Kisra except Saif. He didn't make sujood. Rather, he just bent his head. So when the Kisra saw this, he saw, and he was expecting everyone to make sujood to him. But he saw that this one man didn't make sujood to him. So he became very, very angry. And he said, "Who is this fool who didn't make prostration to me?" So they brought him to the presence of the Kisra, and he was asked, "Why didn't you make sujood to him when everyone else did?" And then Saif said, "It's just the worries that I have in my mind. I was preoccupied thinking about my situation, and that's what distracted me from making sujood to you when everybody else made sujood." So then the Kisra asked, "What are these worries? What are these concerns that are preoccupying you so?" And then he saw that as the opportunity to tell his story. That his ancestors were the kings of Yemen, the rulers of Yemen. And then these Ahbash, these Ethiopians, they came and occupied their land. And they occupy our land to this day. And I'm just thinking of a way to get my land back for my people. And I am from royal blood as well. So the Kisra listens to Saif tell his story. So he consults his advisors about this situation. He asks them, what do you think? Should we help this guy out? Should we help him get his land back from the Ahbash? And the advisors say, look, you can do it easily. I mean, our army is so much stronger than their army. But what is the benefit for us in doing that? Why do we need to put ourselves on the line to help out this guy? And the land of the Arabs, it is a land with no khairat. There's no good in that land. It's not an agricultural land. It's not a land with any type of riches or anything. Why do we need to go and put ourselves on the line in order to help out this guy? This is none of our business. Let him do whatever he wants, leave him, but we don't need to help him. So the Kisra told Saif his decision that no, we're not going to help you out. But just so he wouldn't leave empty-handed, because the Kisra felt that if he sent Saif away with nothing, then Saif would talk about the Kisra. I went and I visited him and I came back with nothing. And that would be bad on the reputation of the Kisra. So he said, I'm not going to help you by sending an army with you or anything, but here, take 10,000 silver dirhams. Now this is a huge amount of money. But this is not what Saif ibn Yazin came for. He didn't come for money. He came to get help in reclaiming the land of Yemen. He thought of a plan to still get the help of the Kisra. So he left the palace with those 10,000 dirhams, and then he started just throwing them out in the street like that. And the people, they saw and they started jumping and gathering around and trying to catch whatever they could. So when this news came back to the Kisra, that this is what this guy is doing with the gift that you gave him, he's throwing it out in the streets and people are collecting it. Then the Kisra thought to himself, there is something about this young man, there is something about him, bring him back. So they brought him back to the presence of the Kisra. And the Kisra asked him, this is what you do with the gift that I gave you? You throw it in the streets like that? And then Saif implemented the plan that he had thought of. His plan was to bring out the greed in the Kisra. He knew that these are greedy people, and used that sense of greed to get him to send his army to help him out. So what did he say? He said, yeah, the reason why I'm throwing around these silver coins is because this is of no use to me. In my country, in Yemen, we have mountains of gold and silver. So what are these coins to me? It's nothing. So then the Kisra said, what? You have mountains of gold and silver in Yemen? That's not something that I ever heard before. So he goes to his advisors again and asks them for advice. He says, I found out from this guy, from Saif, that there are mountains of gold and silver in Yemen. So maybe we should actually go and help him out. So the advisors say, look, we have a good idea for you. This is how you should handle this. Don't send our army because we don't want any casualties in our army. But what we should do is we have so many prisoners who are on death row. Let us just send them with Saif and let them fight. And if they win, that's great. Then you have control of Yemen. And if they lose, then they die anyway. So either way you win. So the Kisra thought, this is a great idea. I have nothing to lose here. So he releases those prisoners who were on death row. And it is said that there were 800 of them. And they were big criminals. So 800 of these criminals are now going to accompany Saif from the Persian Empire back to Yemen. And he also sent a very good general of his to lead that army. And the name of this general was Wuhruz. And Wuhruz was a very, very smart and a very, very good soldier. He had such good aim. When he would shoot an arrow, he was able to hit his target perfectly, and he was known for this. So they sent 800 of these criminals under the command of the general Wuhruz, and he also sent 8 ships, 8 boats to go from Persia to Yemen. And Saif ibn Yazin, now he's very happy. He said, now I have a big army here, they're going to help me out and we're going to get control of our land once again. So they leave and they go through the Euphrates River, and then they go through the Persian Gulf, and then they go through the Arabian Sea, and finally they land at the port of Aden in Yemen. And they come off. And Saif, he had his own people there, the Arabs, that he was able to gather from before. They were not very big in number, but he had some support. So he gathered them as well, and they all joined together, and they formed their army under the command of the general Wuhruz. And the Ahbash, they had already gotten wind of this as well. They knew that this army is coming to fight them. And they were ready, they were prepared. As soon as they landed, as soon as the Persian army landed with Saif, the fighting started, and the Ahbash were ready for this fighting. Now, the leader of the Habashi army was Masruq himself. He took command of the army himself. He didn't appoint a general to take control. Rather, he was in control of his own army, and he was in the battlefield himself. Masruq ibn Abraha. The fighting is going on, and Wuhruz, who is the general, the commander of the Persians, he said, show me who is the leader of this army. So Saif ibn Yazin, of course, he knows who it is. He said, it is Masruq, I know him. He is that one over there. Do you see the man on the elephant who has a red pearl on his forehead between his eyes? So Wuhruz said, okay, that's him. Let me know when he gets off of the elephant. So after some time, he gets off of the elephant and he gets on a horse instead. So they tell Wuhruz, they said he got off the elephant and now he's on the horse. Let me know when he gets off the horse. So after some time, he gets off the horse and now he is on a mule. So they tell Wuhruz, yes, now he's sitting on the mule. So he said, okay, now he's sitting on a mule, okay. He is humiliated and his kingdom will now be humiliated as well. So he gets an arrow and he aims, and he's in the back of the army here. And Masruq is pretty far away, and of course Masruq has his people around him as well trying to defend him. But this guy Wuhruz was such a sharp shooter and he had such a perfect aim that he shot his arrow and hit him right in that red pearl that he had on his forehead. And it came out through the back of his head. So Masruq falls down, Masruq is dead. The commander of the Habashi army, the leader of Yemen, is dead. And the Persians have won. So the army that Kisra sent has won this battle. So now Saif, he's very happy. This is what he wanted. But now they stab Saif in the back as well. They say, we're not giving it to you. We're going to keep this for ourselves. So instead of giving it to Saif ibn Yazin, as he hoped that they would do, this is why he asked them for their help in the first place. Now the Persians, they say, now we're going to be in control of this land. We're not going to give it back to you Yemenis. So Saif, he felt like he was stabbed in the back. And now the Persians have control of Yemen. So the Kisra, he appointed a ruler to rule Yemen, and the name of this ruler was Al-Murzuban. And after he died, then it went to Taybujan. And then the Kisra, he had some problems with Taybujan. So he removed him from that position and he replaced him with a man named Badhan. First Al-Murzuban, then Taybujan, and the third one was Badhan.